Hi, my name is Rebecca Corder, and I would like to talk you through the neural pathways activity, or cotton ball activity, that we do in a lot of our support classes here at PCC in the math department. So, what you're going to need to do this activity are the teacher notes, which here's the Word document that you can see here, which you should be able to find in your support course Canvas shell. And you're going to need the kit, right? So currently at the time of this video recording in R402, there are little Tupperware bins that have cups, cotton balls, and spoons in them. There also in there are handouts that we've used in the past, but these notes have been revised so you don't actually have to have handouts to do the activity. We've gone paperless. And then you're going to need a link to the Prezi, which if you go into the math department Canvas page, if you come down here to metacognition links, it's the very first link that you'll see, the cotton ball activity. And so if you click on that, it will take you to a Prezi that you're going to want to show in your class. I'm going to quickly step you through slide by slide on this side of your screen, and then the teacher notes will be on this side of your screen. And the goal of this activity, it's really twofold. First, the main goal is to get students to realize that the human brain is like a muscle and it can grow and change, and to help introduce the idea that if in the past they've thought they're just not good at math, if they've had what's called a fixed mindset about it, and they just don't believe that there's really any hope for them, they're just going to have to survive and cross their fingers. The point of this activity is to help them realize, no, their brains can create new structures and learn new things, even if they haven't been successful in the past. So the big takeaway from this is your brain is like a muscle. The second thing that I really like about this activity is in the activity itself, students will get to see that just because one of their classmates already kind of knows some things, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're smarter. It just means that those structures in their brain have already been built, and they can learn just as well or just as much as their classmate once they've built those structures in their brain and have started learning and processing and passing the information. So those are the two main big takeaways that I always try to focus on when I do this activity in class. So once you've got the cups, balls, and spoons, you're going to take about 30 minutes of your class time. You're going to pull up this Prezi. You're going to make it widescreen so the entire class sees it. I'm going to make myself go away for a second while we kind of talk through it. So in these teacher notes, you've got a script. So, you can start on this screen and say, we go to school to learn, but we don't often talk about how we learn. So we're going to spend some time this semester talking about how the brain learns. Or we're going to spend some time right now talking about how the brain learns. And the next slide, you can see it's step by step. So take a moment and on your piece of scratch paper in front of you, describe how your brain works. One other thing I should say, before we actually start this, I will number my students off. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, because I had a class of 28. So if you've got 35 students, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you get teams of about 7-ish. And then they think about how the brain works. We show a video that actually introduces some vocabulary. I'm going to skip the video right now, but if you wanted to, it'll automatically start playing. You can turn on the closed captions. Whoa, no, go back. You can turn on the closed captions for the video by simply stop that, clicking on the closed captions for the video, and those will come on. I'm going to skip it for now. And what you'll see in the teacher notes are, again, some talking points that describe the videos. These are neurons, dendrites. The glowing things are the synapses. It's focus. This picture shows neural decay. You see all these dark areas. Those are structures in the brain that haven't been used in a while, so they're dark, they're not glowing. This is a picture of neuroplasticity, right? There's lots of learning and growing, right? These dendrites are reaching out and growing and touching each other, passing information along. So again, please read through, and if you want, you can just literally read this like a script in front of your students. Take some time, practice this, go over it. This is my favorite video, honestly, so I'll demo it for you right now. I'll say to my class, so now we're going to watch another short video by MIT researchers where they are showing a dendrite in the human brain glowing. So then I'll come over and I'll dim the lights in my classroom and I will literally read verbatim. The glowing red image is of a growing dendrite as neural plasticity is taking place inside the brain. So as we've been discussing, to think and solve problems, your brain sends messages from one neuron to the next. Learning builds connections or synapses between the neurons. When you practice a skill, you're building these connections. So for example, if you've never heard the word dendrite before today, this is happening right now in your brain as you're learning and processing new information. Pretty cool, right? And that's when the video ends and the students are like, oh, wow, so cool. And so then this takes us to the actual physical activity, right? This is where the cotton ball activity occurs. So we say something like, okay, so now we're going to see how to build a neural pathway in the classroom. So, which of course is what we're doing every day. We call it learning. And so then, but we're going to try an activity to demonstrate this. So come back, so team one, come forward. And I'll just kind of show you. This is a video of me doing this in my class, but the audio is turned off. And so this is me, each person is a neuron, right? And these things growing out of the neurons, what are they called again? Dendrites, right? Please wave your dendrites to everyone. Yay! Right? Your arms are the dendrites. And these spoons represent the neurotransmitter, right? The chemicals that pass information from one neuron to the next. So you give everyone a spoon, right? And now each cotton ball represents a piece of information. So we're going to practice passing this information down your neural pathway and kind of plop it into memory. So don't use your hands, just the chemicals, the neurotransmitters, so pass them along. And so I'm going to fast forward this video a bit, but you give your students time to pass, and then as soon as, what you're going to see right here is, whoop, as soon as that drops, you say, oh, leave that on the floor. That's what happens. It's when you started, you thought you understood, and then you lost it, right? You had it, but then you lost it. That happens all the time. It's part of the learning process. Sometimes information gets dropped or lost. And they pass it on down, put the cotton ball in that cup over here, right? They're kind of spread out way across the classroom. And then they keep passing. So your teacher keeps talking and, they don't wait for you to fully get it. They keep talking and information continually keeps getting passed. And, right? Oh, and so that was when your cell phone went off and you lost it right at the front, right? You got distracted. You didn't even get it passed from one neuron to the next. And so you can kind of say things like that. And so I'm going to fast forward a bit. So you give them a little bit of time to practice, right? And then I had them all scoot up and I gave them a time, right? In the instructions, it says, now we're going to race. I usually give them a practice trial run with time. So I'll say, ready, on your mark, set, go. And you give them 30 seconds or 45 seconds, however you feel, right? But I kind of like having them practice once with the pressure of time, where they know they're supposed to race as much as they can. So I'm going to skip and fast forward, right? Skip and fast forward. And so then I have team one, right? Yay, good job. I have them all scoot because I'm going to have the next team that I'm going to call come on up. So I have them kind of scoot over so we can have both teams up in the front of the room. And then right now I'm saying, all right, so in just a few minutes I'm going to call out another team. And when I say go, they're going to come up. There are their spoons and their cotton balls and the cups all kind of tucked away in a corner. And so when I say go, right, we're going to have a race, right? So ready, on your mark, get set. Team number 2, come on up now, go. And so I say go, and team 1 gets started, and they've already, made headway. And team 2, they're still racing and rushing to get up and pass out their cotton balls and kind of get organized. And a lot of students will instantly be like, oh, it's not fair. Exactly, that's the point, right? Depending on where you are in your class. So in any case, I'm going to fast forward, right? So you can see they go. I say, all right, and time. All right, that's it. And then we count. And in this example, the first team got 6. And in this class, the second team actually got 5. They did a lot better than I expected. Good job. And so then I say, all right, thank you. Everyone sit down and let's talk about what just happened. All right, so let's go back to the Prezi. So sit down and let's talk about what just happened. And then again, you can refer back to your notes here, right? So which team won the race? And I'll ask my students, and they'll say, oh, team 1 won the race. And it's like, okay, why? And then I'll usually have students say things like, well, because, they had a head start. And I'll say, well, what do you mean by a head start? I mean, I said go, and each teams had, 30 seconds. Each team had 45 seconds, however long I decide to give them. And I want them to get that even though they started at the same time, team 2, they had to build that neural pathway. They had to first create the structure before they could even start passing the information, right? And so I'll then akin it to this, right? So the first team has already practiced, the second team had to get up, get organized, and build their neural pathway, right? And then start passing the information, right? Since the first team already practiced, that's kind of like if they've already seen the material before or studied the material, they had an easier time building on their knowledge, right? Since they already have a neural pathway, right? The team 2 represents people who maybe they haven't studied this, they haven't seen it before, right? They need to build the neural pathway before they can even start being successful, right? And I'll usually ask my students, how many of you have ever been in a classroom and the person sitting next to you seems like they just know everything already? And that makes you question your abilities, like, oh, should I know this already? And the answer may be they've already got their neural pathway in their brain built, right? And so it's going to go a lot quicker and it'll be easier for them to understand because they've already got that structure there. And then depending on how much time I have in class, I might even, with team 1 and team 2 already standing up there, have them do it again, having both had practice and their pathways built. And usually then the results are a lot more even and they'll either tie or maybe team 2 will even do better than team 1. And again, it's to illustrate that just because you feel behind at one point doesn't mean you're going to be behind all semester, right? You can grow your brain, right? And so then the last few questions kind of introduce the idea of growth mindset versus fixed mindset. Again, read through the instructor notes here for more details. But again, the big takeaway is I want you to remember this semester as you struggle to learn the new and challenging material in this class that your brain can develop neural pathways, and it's like a muscle, right? If you use it, it will grow and more stuff. So, thanks for listening.